All right, we are live. I'm here with the most loyal viewer of the Exempt Human Specimen channel, Judah Slidechai, the based Persian Michelin guy. Welcome to the show, everybody. It's another Monday night chill stream, which we got. I started the music late and stuff. It was a little bit uncoordinated today. Not the usual smooth professional effort you're accustomed to, but we're going to have to make do. Because what's the alternative? Where are you going to go? What else are you going to do? You can't go. Luke Ford is nothing. There's nothing. To listen to the internet hobos, the Fed streams of Norvin and Ov and Patrick Bateman. Like you can't do that to yourself again this week. Like you just did that to yourself. So give yourself a break. Come over here and get a little different change of pace. A little. Something not exactly paid for by the U.S. federal government. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's Monday. We actually got rain today, so that was good. It's been very, very dry here, so we got rain. So I guess everybody's happy that their grass is not going to die. But all happiness here is going to be short-lived for a bunch of different reasons, because. Like it or not, storm clouds on the horizon. I wish I could say happier stuff in the short term, but in the short term, there's going to be a lot of unpleasantness. So, what do we got? What's the first thing we should put up? This is the first thing we should put up because this is from the last. This is from the birth, the birth pangs of Bitcoin. This was. From the London papers, the London Telegraph, and it ties in with the title of tonight's show, which is the Grave Robbers Union. So, and I consider the Grave Robbers Union the elites that currently run everything, everywhere. The ethnic elites, the central bankers, the stockbrokers, the consultants behind the scenes. To Johnson just discovered out of the blue that he was in fact Jewish, and now. Okay, there's in the timely fashion in which I've ordered them. It's going to be a little difficult. It's going to require some patience as I watch the screen ever so slowly. This is, and I blame all this not on Boomer Tech so much, not on the fact that I have a 12-year-old laptop and I'm running this whole thing off a crappy Android smartphone. No. I blame this on government interference. Hey, look at this screenshot from the London Telegraph. The date on this one was 30th of September 2009. So Bitcoin was born at that point at 7:03 p.m. But the Telegraph had a story that a planned recession could avoid catastrophic climate change. So the whole climate change hustle was going back then. Like all these things, they sort of have like every horse in the race. When I pointed out a couple of weeks ago in my Charlottesville anniversary show that there were restaurants in Charlottesville, Virginia, that in 2017 had LGBT sandwiches on the menu. So whatever kind of sticks and works. That's what everybody. Climate catastrophe, climate change scam been going on for a while. So below the headline, it says Britain will have to stop building airports, switch to electric cars, and shut down coal-fired power stations. A planned recession to avoid change. So this is they're throwing out this lot of bullshit to see if anybody believes it. But all the stated reasons in this story aren't the reason why they do recessions, why they do this pump and dump with the economy, and they want to steal everything you have. The grave robbers union are the elites. I was on Twitter about just like DMs and stuff. These little small on the Mediterranean, like little finely animal or a cat or something like that into this, and the grave robbers like Mr. already dead, right? So they can't identify you. They're not going to fight back. They're already dead. So you can go, Tomb Raider as a concept has been around for a long, long, long time. Gilbert Salgado, the unifier, is here. Climate change is not a scam or a hoax. It is the most serious existential threat that humanity has ever faced. So if you would please, in the comments, Mr. Salgado, list the top 10 existential threats in reverse order. So starting from 10 and ending with 1, which is climate change, that all of humanity, we all faced at once probably because someone like you called for unity. A unity caller reached out to all of humanity and said, listen, there's an existential threat. We all have to face the threat. And in facing the threat, I don't know, the threat magically dissolves into, magically dissolves into smoke because apparently that's what happens when you simply face the threat, because it's really just a threat, right? There's no actual, nothing's going to happen. We're not getting hit by an asteroid as much as a lot of people have been praying for an asteroid strike. There will be no. Luckily, everybody thinks like one big dramatic ending, just boom, and it's done. But it's not going to happen that way. It's going to be a lot longer and a lot less pleasant. But nuclear Armageddon used to be on tap. Yeah, that was like, you want to talk about a psyop. There's that guy, the dude that hangs around Norvin. He shows up here in the comments sometimes. Marshall Law, and he's from New Zealand, and he says that nuclear weapons are a psyop. They don't really exist. That it's I don't know, like nuclear weapons. He really says like nuclear weapons don't exist, and I'm like, no, they exist without a doubt. They exist. But when you sit there and think about it, like, why would the Jews that run New York and Washington nuke the Jews that run Moscow and St. Petersburg? Why would they do that? You know what I mean? Yeah, I know Marshall is a silly person, but his father works for New Zealand's Secret Service, and you have to respect the generational hustle. You know what I mean? Getting your kid into the counterterrorism business early on, and keeping them literally thousands of miles away from any threat. In great shape. But yes, the question I have, and it's not a smart question because I'm not a smart guy, but why would the Jews in Moscow nuke the Jews in New York? What would be their motivation? That we were never ever close to ever close to nuclear Armageddon. It's all a puppet show, and we created the Soviet Union. Literally, not only did Jacob Schiff finance the Bolshevik Revolution, but I did a show. There's a guy, I forget his name. He was a World War I vet who went back in World War II and ended up working in the supply. And we rebuilt the entire Soviet Union after the war, like rebuilt everything, all the electrical power plants, everything. And we gave them everything. All the stuff was set aside as Lend-Lease materials during the war. It wasn't delivered until after the war. And if you think that a couple of scribbled notes from Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, to a leg of a fucking pigeon and flown to fucking Moscow was sufficient for those fucking numbskulls to build a nuclear weapon 5 years after we did, you're living in a dream world. You know what I mean? There were literally plane loads of documents that left initially from Newark Airport, where I'm at a lot, but then I went out of a different airport in Helena, Montana. They just flew literally tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of pages of documents, translated, of course, into Russian, to Russia so that they could build their nuclear weapon 5 years after we did. So the entire Cold War was a hoax, entirely a hoax. Real people died, real soldiers died on both sides, but for the guys behind the scenes, nobody was ever going to push any buttons. Nobody was ever going. You're not going to nuke your cousins just because you're having a little spat with them. You know what I mean? Just like Washington and Moscow right now. You know what I mean? They're not going to nuke each other over the goy in Ukraine. The FBI has much better things to do. Like, where's my FBI guy? I just saw one the other day. I love what now that I understand what they're doing. This is what they do. This is how they train for counter-terror operations. And I get to witness this. The Rosenbergs were Soviet spies, but they did not steal the nuclear secrets. They passed them on, whatever that. Again, they didn't steal the ones. It was Alger Hiss was the guy who actually stole it. You don't understand. Real life is not like a fucking James Bond movie where you have two scribble. Like, see these fucking show notes? You can't build a nuclear bomb off of what I scribbled. You know what I mean? They're actually to build a facility to take the uranium and turn it into plutonium and then turn it into a bomb. That takes an enormous amount of instruction, and it's got to be constructed a certain way. There's all kinds of things. Yes, I know the Rosenbergs could not have stolen enough. They deserve to fry because they were traitors to America. Of course, they were 100% guilty. But that's my point. You're not going to get the entire secrets to how to build an A bomb on the back of a fucking cocktail napkin and leave it at the Russian tea room in Manhattan and spark the Cold War. That's not how shit works. So this picture I took it the other day at Newark Airport. And what you're looking at is a young FBI special agent. And they do this in that black thing he's holding. He appears to talk about spy movie shit. So that black object between his elbows and his knees, he's supposedly a photographer. There are airplanes coming from the left side of the photo to the right side of the photo. The runways are to the right of him, to the right of where you're looking at. So towards his back is where the runways are. So as the planes approach, he pretends to take pictures of them. Like he's a photographer, and the Port Authority police don't bother him, and nobody bothers him, and he's all by himself. And he's a camera. He's got this whatever, like $5,000 camera setup, right? But he has no camera bag. He has no film. He never changes lenses. He just literally pretends to take pictures of airplanes as they land. And they do this at a couple of different spots in the airport every now and then. And I saw him as soon as I pulled up with the stupid, ridiculous 1970s spy cam. I know the guy's FBI. Also, his car was nearby, which was a red Jeep Cherokee, and they always drive domestic cars. They never drive Toyotas or Mercedes or Nissans or Kias or anything like that. It's always a domestically produced car, usually Fords or Chryslers. So this is a young FBI guy wearing his black socks, doing his counter-terror training or whatever. There might be somebody in that parking lot on the other side of the fence watching him to make sure he just doesn't like take a nap inside his car when he's not supposed to be doing that. But it's all this is all theater. It's all theater. It's all theater. I've seen 3 and 4 of these guys at a time with 3 and 4 of these super spy cameras pretending to take pictures of El Al airplanes. In the middle of the day, all young white guys, young white goys, with 2 swarthy, curly-haired, dark-skinned supervisors. Gilbert Salgado in the chat. There was a British spy who was the main one who sent the plans to the Russians. No, we shipped it on American airplanes ourselves. What's the guy's name? I can't remember the guy's name. He was FDR's guy, top guy. I can't remember what the dude's name was. Just ordered all the documents, translated and sent over there. But like B-17's full of documents, dozens of planes, dozens and dozens and dozens of planes. All the James Bond shit is fake as fuck. It's fake as fuck. You cannot, like I said, you cannot build a nuclear bomb off a fucking scribble like this. You know what I mean? That's what a spy can steal. Do you really fucking think you have all the time to go into the secure area? They didn't have copy machines back then. They didn't have Xerox machines in 1945. You know what I mean? And you gotta copy literally 1 million pages. How fast could your British spy guy write? Look, he's the fastest cursive script writer in all of England. He would still be fucking working on it today. You're not living in reality. You're buying into a narrative that's complete bullshit. Like we have to plan a recession to keep the planet from burning up, or like the FBI kid who's doing counter-terror work by pretending to take pictures of fucking airplanes, and nobody bothers him at all. There was one time I was right in that same area, and I was taking video just to bust balls of an El Al flight, and El Al has security every time their planes take off. They have some dork in a fucking SUV comes rolling up to me, flashes his Port Authority ID at me, and says, "Ask me what I'm doing." I was like, "You're not a fucking cop." He says, "You're not allowed to take pictures on an airplane." I said, "I'm allowed to do whatever the fuck I want to do," you know. And again, he shows me this Port Authority ID. It's an ID. It's a photo ID that these guys usually wear in their arms to get into different areas. But it shows that you're allowed to work at the airport and go to certain places. I was like, I said, "Call a fucking real cop. Call a fucking cop." And of course, he did nothing. And he was an Israeli Jew. He wasn't an American Jew. He was an Israeli Jew. I talked about this years ago. And he comes up to me like he fucking owns, like he owns America. Like he's a fucking, what authority do you fucking have? So you don't know. All that you know is stuff you read in books, which is a lot of it's bullshit, and a lot of it's just dudes heaping glory on themselves all the time, and stuff from movies. It's not that way. That's not the way it is. At the end of the day, they want you to. What is this? Here's what ends up happening, right? So the planned recession. Here's the planned recession didn't work. So here's what they're doing on fucking Cook Island, down in what's his name, Marshall's little corner of the flat Earth. Marshall Lore and his good neighbors, because he's a Kiwi, his good neighbors, the Aussies. This is their solution to making their dreams come true. Here's their solution. Ready? Steady. By the way, thank God this week we actually have alcohol to fucking drink. These sobriety streams are quite a burden on me, and I really, it's important to be mentally lubricated, correctly mentally lubricated and dialed in for a chill stream. Okay, so what are you looking at? Australian bank announces it will ban loans for petrol, that's gasoline, or diesel cars in order to fight climate change and encourage electric vehicles. Nobody wants this shit. Nobody wants this shit. Nobody wants this shit. And they couldn't build it anyway. Even if people did want it, even if there was an organic, real life demand for this shit, they can't build enough of it anyway. They can't mine enough lithium, and they can't turn the lithium into batteries fast enough. This is the pipe dream of pipe dreams. So what they're going to do is they're not going to make any more car loans in Australia. No more car or truck loans, unless it's for an electric car or an electric truck. Now, I don't know, if you know how big Australia is, they rely on trucking, like 18-wheel trucking, even more than the U.S. does. And they actually run triple rigs. It's the truck pulling 3 trailers. It's wild. That's illegal in the United States. Even true doubles are illegal in the United States because of the high risk of what happens when they crash. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do this. So now they're like, well, we won't give you any money to buy a gasoline car. Now, what about all the cars? Now, you see where that sounds great, but what about all these car dealerships that have imported all of these gasoline cars? I don't know how many they import, or into Australia, right? What are they going to do with them? How are they going to sell them? Are they going to give them away? If you can't get a loan for a new car, for a new Nissan or Ford or Pontiac or whatever the fuck they have down there, what do they do with all the millions of dollars, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars of inventory? What do you do with that? Well, what do you do? Are you going to sell it for whatever the guy? Somebody's going to walk in and give you the fucking change out of their from their sofa cushions for a new car? Like, this is how stupid and insane this is. Gilbert Salgado, most everything you know is wrong, James. Oh, I am wrong, guys. I'm notoriously wrong. I've been predicting the hyperinflation thing so wrongly for 2 years. You get your info from non-credible conspiracy sites. Yeah, like the hunt for Tom Clancy. That was I didn't screenshot this guy. It was like there's a Twitter account called The Hunt for Tom Clancy, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's weird, you know. So the guy's supposedly he's an ex-military guy, 20-something, who's like gonna go after all the real secrets, and he's going to New Mexico and this and that and blah 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 blah. And he shows these photos. Shows these photos like the guy, the first commander of Delta Force with I don't know who the fuck, like Donald Rumsfeld or something like that, and they're dressed in their nice Delta fucking costumes. You know what I mean? He's got the Iron Cross fucking thing on. He's got a cape with fucking red shiny material inside the cape and shit. And they're like, yeah, see, they made the Delta Force guy a Knight of Malta. You know what I mean? A Freemason. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. So, and I'm like, all right, you don't go through, if you have some idea of what it takes to get into Delta Force, those guys don't fucking do cosplay. You know what I mean? Like, you know, or they will do cosplay because that's what they have to do to sneak it in on and shoot people. But they don't take that shit seriously. They'll dress up as anything. They don't give a fuck. So, but the idea that they inducted him into the Freemasons, you know, that's a Jewish front organization from the fucking 1800s. To pretend like it's still a real thing today, that's, you want to talk about a fucking conspiracy nonsense. So this account, The Hunt for Tom Clancy, I realized whoever's running it's a fucking whatever. It's a limited hangout. It's, you know, they're always just about to tell you the secret, and then it goes off into some retardo fucking area. You know, you'll see a picture of Trump and Mike Wallace and Ghislaine Maxwell's father and whatever, some other fucking dude, and they're all hanging out together at a party somewhere laughing, and they tell you, okay, here's what this picture means, and then they end up talking about some fucking nonsense that has nothing to do with the photo. So it's kind of, you know, hook you with one or two things that are factual or interesting, and then lead you down the garden path to some stupidity that's fucking purposeless, that is a million miles away from what the original subject was supposed to be. And this shit is cheap for them. It's super cheap and easy for them because what does it cost? You know, like that kid, the one that was a thing on Twitter, Lord Miles Rutledge, the based Brit Bong dude who he was 27, right? He didn't just get out of the military and go through his MI6 training. No, of course not. He's just some 27-year-old bloke from England who doesn't want to get drunk or get high or chase girls or make money or none. He doesn't want any of that. He wants to take a trip to Afghanistan, and he's going to hang out in Afghanistan and live tweet his adventures in Afghanistan. You know, and then he went from Afghanistan, he went to Somalia, he went here and there, and then some people started calling him out. They said, this guy's a fucking spook. He's a fucking 100%. He's a spook. He's MI6. You know what I mean? And as soon as that gained some traction, people were like, yeah, who is finding? How do you do this? How are you going from country to country to country? And he tried to say, like, no, I get interrogated by the police at every border checkpoint. And they're like, no, you're getting debriefed. And then all of a sudden, Lord Miles Rutledge fucking vanishes off social media. So whatever this guy was doing, they thought, oh, well, we'll mix what he's really doing with this bullshit storyline, and people won't know, and we'll get away with it. And it didn't really, the ability for people on fucking randos on social media to dig into the background of stuff, to look into the background of pictures, and to make articulate, logical points as to why this image doesn't make sense or that doesn't make sense is the OSINT, open source intelligence shit. Just people who fucking know shit and know how shit works. blow these fucking wannabe James Bonds out of the fucking water every fucking time, every single time. So where are we gonna go? Well, let's go to here. Speaking of spooks, this is how Bitcoin people fight because they're just way tougher, way tougher and smarter in a lot of ways than you ideologues. These fucking ideologues with your what brand of bullshit do we think is gonna work this fucking week? On the device about being a toxic Bitcoin maximalist, is I don't have to worry about this week's bullshit. I have no interest in it other than occasionally it provides some humor towards me, some humor which is about to show up on the screen any day now. Trad Dad, hey, welcome to the show, Trad Dad. Look at this, big numbers now. Last show I got like 41 views and 7 likes. So I'm thinking how popular I am. So this tweet by a guy named John Carvalho, he's talking about somebody named Udi Werthenheimer, who was a German guy who was into Bitcoin that whatever became a shitcoiner, and then some account that's Sarah.btc. And he tweets, both Udi and Sarah are either spooks or actually retarded. The difference is not important in practice. And that's the way to view it. Who gives a shit if they're fucking spooks? What they're trying to do, lead you, away from Bitcoin towards some fucking shit coin, some fucking scam, some venture capitalist fucking exit liquidity. It doesn't matter. As long as you understand that it doesn't matter whether they're a spook or they're stupid, you just ignore them. So what she tweets was, how much security does air gapping really add? Air gapping means keeping your Bitcoin off exchanges in cold storage. So in some sort of electronic device that is not constantly connected to the internet. And so Udi says it's basically bullshit. It is not basically bullshit. If you don't want someone to steal your Bitcoin, if you don't want the government to confiscate your Bitcoin, it's best if you have it in a physical device like this device that you physically control. That's air gapping. The air between, right? I could show you this all day, but there's no way that the internet can take the Bitcoin off this device unless I plug it into the internet. So that's air gapping. So, and this guy, this Udi Werthenheimer, is supposed to be super Bitcoin expert, says, no, don't worry about air gapping. No, worry about air gapping. It's your money, right? Bitcoin is your money, and you want to control your money. The whole point of me doing this is you trusting people who hate you, whether you're a part of their ethnic group or you're one of the out group, right? Trusting central bankers who hate you to correctly value your life, your labor, your goods, your services, right? And pay you in the correct paper receipt and keep those receipts valuable over time. If you think that that's going to happen, you're a very naive person who's far more delusional than anything I could describe. So if you want to store your wealth, the value of your labor, your goods, your services in something other than paper receipts issued by central bankers, all of whom just happen to be Jewish, if you want to do that, then you go to Bitcoin or you gold coins or whatever. You want to do gold, do gold. It's not going to work, but good luck to you. You know what I mean? A lot of gold bugs see exactly the same thing that Bitcoin people see, but they don't understand that the time of gold has passed. Gold was a store of value, is a store of value over time, but not across space, right? You can't send gold instantaneously to Japan or Thailand or whatever, right? You can't do that. You know what I mean? Fiat, the paper notes are easier and faster to send across time and space, but they don't hold their value. Okay, Bitcoin does both. Bitcoin does both, and that's why it's superior. It is digital gold. That's our argument, and haven't heard any really effective counter arguments to that, other than it's backed by nothing. Blah 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 blah. I just resent this to myself. I showed this before, but I want to show it again because I mentioned that in May, the Federal Reserve Bank increased interest rates, and on that same day, the S&P 500 rose more than 2%. So that, I think that the Fed raised interest rates half a point, and then the S&P, not the Dow, which is nothing, and the Nasdaq, which is nothing. The S&P rose more than 2 points. That's significant because that's happened twice before in American history. Once in October 1929, and once in May of 2000. And both of those times, by the end of the year, the entire stock market had plummeted 70 to 90%. Now, the stock market is as close as you can get. Is 500 publicly traded companies in 30 different industries. And it's big companies and small companies. So it's big, gigantic oil companies like Exxon and little tiny oil companies that only make specialty equipment that you never heard of. They're all in, the S&P 500. So this is this image, what you see on the screen, the yellow line is 2008, right? That's what the stock market did in 2008. And the white line that seems very closely paralleling it is today. So does that mean we're going to crash down like the yellow line? Possibly. It's very likely. Right now, what the White House is trying to do is keep the market pumped until late October, so that when the elections come in November and everybody switches over to Republicans, once the market crashes, hopefully the White House is hoping in November, they can blame it all on the Republicans. They can say, oh, the economy was doing fine until you voted Republican. Now look, it crashed. So they're trying to keep it spinning for like another 8 weeks or so. And that's not exactly, I don't know if they can make that happen or not happen, because obviously the market doesn't want to play along. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to lose money so that the White House can have slightly better polling numbers. And in terms of what people are spending money on right now, where is it? 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 This one? I think it's this one. Let's look at this. I got a couple of things. Yeah. All right. This guy, he calls himself Frog Capital. He's a Florida dude. He's a big Ron DeSantis guy. By the way, DeSantis is not Spanish. He's of Italian extraction. It's not DeSantos. It's DeSantis. So there's a lot of people looking for looking to put a spicy meatball in the White House 2024. They are looking for the pasta president. So he tweets, he's following all the numbers on Wall Street. Huge downward division from Kohl's. Kohl's is a low-end department store. As the retail earnings reports all retail earnings reports look the same. People are buying groceries and stuff to fix their cars and house, and not much else. So, and if you look around in stores, you're going to see not a lot of people buying stuff that isn't food, and that tells you that they have no excess money. They have no excess money at all, and they're desperately hanging on. And like I said, once the money stops working, people go crazy. Now, Americans have more money, more cushion, but people are feeling the pinch. They're feeling inflation, and they're just not buying anything they don't need to buy. The stuff you absolutely need. You need to live inside. You need to get back and forth to work to make what little money you have, and you need to eat. So that's what people are spending money on. Another retail store, Target. Again, it's a low-end retail store. Target profits down 90%. That's a lot, by the way. I don't know if you know this, but 90% is considered a lot. So if the low-end retailers can't get people to fucking pull the trigger on cheap junk from China, other than buying groceries, this tells you, this is a little foreshadowing of what's coming. a really ugly Christmas. If the market does drop 80% from where it was in May, or 90% or 70%, it's going to pull everything else down with it. Gasoline, which was $5 3 weeks ago, is now in New Jersey, it's like $3.65. But ground beef or minced meat, which used to be $5, is now $5.50. So stuff that you don't have to drive, you don't have to go to the Jersey Shore, you don't have to go to a nightclub, you don't have to go visit people, right? You can FaceTime with people, you can do a Zoom call or something like that with grandma. You don't have to get on the Jersey Turnpike or the Parkway and go burn gasoline to do that. So the demand, what's called demand destruction in gasoline, will bring the price down because the inventories will go up. But you can't stop eating, right? You cannot stop eating. And so food prices are going to keep going while energy prices go down. And you would be amazed at how many people hang everything on the price of gasoline, and they don't see anything else. Like it's just the price of the pump and nothing else. And they're going to so completely get blindsided. Like you can't, there's nothing you can say to them that will help them. And then this is where they're going to end up. This is largely where they're going to end up. Right? Hold on, where's this one? This was maybe amongst the most depressing things I saw on social media in a while. But this is what they want for you. This is what they plan for you. This is your betters, your high IQ, ethnically pure Kabbalah people. This is what they have planned for you. And I, for one, I would say I don't want this. And I am pretty sure this is not going to be my fate, but it might end up being your fate. It might be your fate unless you can figure out what these guys are doing and zig when they zag. Chick-fil-A employee works 6 days a week at age 99. Yeah, that's a real story, kids. 6 days a week at age 99. That is fucking criminal. That is criminal. That person's entire life, they've worked and created value for others. They've made it to nearly 100 years old, and they still have to do this. The only rest for this person comes when they kick the bucket. And then someone will try to fucking rob their fucking grave, I guarantee it. You don't want this for yourself. You don't want this for your children. You don't want this for your neighbors. And again, I make the point that putting your faith in little green pieces of paper issued by Jews in a private bank is an unwise strategy for the future. You may think it's wise. You may think they're trustworthy people. I do not. I have a different view. My view is different. You put your faith in the green pieces of paper issued by Jews, good luck to you. I don't know why you're here. There's no reason why you would be here. But if you think, hey, you know what? These green pieces of paper are getting weaker every 3 months, every year. Maybe I should do something different. What you have to do is not gamble in the stock market or gamble in a casino. You know what I mean? That's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to preserve your wealth. And when the rest of the world figures out that Bitcoin cannot be inflated away, when the truly wealthy figure this shit out, it's going to be interesting as fuck. And this, as per usual, Bitcoin never fails us. It never truly fails us. Where is it? This was one of my absolutely favorite tweets that I saw. This was from like the other day. For the what if the sun blows up? What if there's an EMP? What if they shut off the internet? Here's why engineering shit and engineering money is smarter than any than any strategy you have. Your strategy is fingers crossed. I hope the Jews don't fuck us over. That's not my strategy. I have a different strategy. My strategy is I'm forced to get paid in green pieces of paper, but I turn those green pieces of paper into Bitcoin as fast as I possibly can. Trad Dad in the chat, upper management Michelings and the service industry peasants who serve them. What's up on the screen? Africans, yes, Africans, a lot of Nigerians are sending Bitcoin peer-to-peer without internet using 1990s cell phones. They're using 1990s technology. So you see the old cell phone in the bottom of the screen in the paper receipt at the top of the screen, and on the screen it says you have received 23,000 satoshis, 23,000 sats, which is about $10. And then there's a paper receipt accompanying that. And the other lines that you can see on the phone, that's the actual the Bitcoin address that it was sent to. So you can send Bitcoin through a 1990s cell phone. And they are doing it today in Africa. If Africans can figure this shit out, surely eventually you motherfuckers can figure it out. Eventually, even you triple-digit IQ geniuses who know that nobody gets out of bed in the morning, they just they get out of bed to promote to promote an ideology, a brilliant ideology that everyone gets out of bed and they work their fucking asses for. That 99-year-old woman that works at Chick-fil-A, she's not doing it for the money. She doesn't, not because her grandkids need stuff or she has to keep a roof over her head. No. It's about her. It's an expression, her multi-decade expression of her Calvinist work ethic. It has nothing to do with actual money, right? That's how fucking dumb you are. That's how absolutely dumb you are. And why you will believe this, and I will not believe this. I love the fact that I'm like 2 years ahead of everybody else. That these super smart people who are much more materially successful than I come to the conclusions I came to years ago. What's up on the screen, James? Come on. Let's see it. Let's see it. Said this, a while ago. And this, this is what a dystopian hellscape. From Dr. Riccardo Ducenze. I don't know if he's a real doctor or if he's just a doctor on Twitter. But he tweets, blacks are now seen as founding sacred people of the U.S., requiring whites to worship them in the public sphere as they destroy all the cities, schools, and inflict the highest crime rates while collecting billions in welfare. And then below that, you see a picture, I think that's in that park on 14th Street in Manhattan, of the St. George Floyd. St. George Floyd as literally as a golden icon, 10, 12 feet in the air, a giant golden crackhead, literally a golden crackhead in the middle of fucking Manhattan. You will worship the Negro, you will eat the bugs, or else we will make you starving and homeless. You know why? Because you're holding on to your wealth in green pieces of paper that are issued by the same people who pushed George Floyd on the world. Trad Dad, Ducanese has great takes and books. Well, you know what? He must be great because he's 2 years behind me. Trad Dad, I spend 10 hours a day in D.C. Ideology is only a thing operating in federal government now. No more technicians left. It's a paycheck. Everybody in D.C. is mellow. Everybody's relaxed. Everybody's overweight. Everyone's living in caloric. I go down to Northern Virginia, Manassas and Sterling, Virginia all the time. Also Chantilly, all that Nova stuff just outside of the Beltway. So, and I look at these people closely. They're all living in caloric excess. Everybody's relaxed and mellow. Nobody gives a shit about anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, they got whichever way the wind's blowing, they're going. But they're it's as long as they get the steady paycheck, everything's fine. Everything is fine. Trad Dad, he's been aware. He's new to the game. I listen to everybody. Oh, he's not new to the game. I'm not sure. He's not new to the game, but he's just now talking about this. All right, where do we go? Where do we go? That was which one was that one? Yeah, so I just did that. Okay, so let's stay. This one, this was a great screenshot. I called it "Burn the Coal." Burn the coal. Burn the coal. Pay the toll. Well, not exactly. It's a little twist on "Burn the Coal, Pay the Toll." Interviews from 10 years ago, highlighting the issues. If the issues is not the small hats running things with using money, then they're in the wrong area. No one gives a rat's ass. People sell out all the time. Doesn't matter what the ideology is; they sell out all the time. You know why? Because money's more important than ideology. Money, generational wealth is more important than ideology. This one I titled "Burn the Coal." Bitcoin mining is solving a huge environmental problem. This mining facility is powered by waste coal. Without Bitcoin mining cleaning it up, the coal would leach into the groundwater and pollute waterways with heavy metal carcinogens. So you see, burning the coal is not always a bad thing. Some people say burning the coal leads to negative outcomes. Well, not when burning the coal mines Bitcoin. So waste coal, waste energy, stranded energy around the world from excess capacity, from nuclear, flare gas, from oil drilling around the world, and now waste coal, keeping your water drinkable. That's what Bitcoin does. And it does it without any particular ideology, right? Bitcoin doesn't really care. There's pothead Bitcoins, there's religious Bitcoins, there's anti-Semitic Bitcoiners, there's whatever, there's all kinds. There's techno geeks, there's Bitcoiners that are terrified to go out of their house. You know what I mean? There was a story, I don't know how true it is. Some Indian guy was bragging on social media how much Bitcoin he had. He said he had 8 full Bitcoins. And some people grabbed him, kidnapped him, tortured him for 3 hours, and then he gave up his password or whatever, and they took his Bitcoin. Now, it's pretty tough to torture somebody for 3 hours. They probably held him for 3 hours and only punched him a few times. You know what I mean? I don't think it would take a whole lot. The idea that you're going to stand up to physical torture for 3 hours that's inaccurate reporting. Years ago, I talked about this Jamaican dude. He used to work in the Park Hill Projects. He was a security guard. Park Hill Projects is where the Wu-Tang Clan was from. So this dude's name was William, and I used to drive him from where he lived to the Park Hill Projects all the time. And he'd say, "Jamesy, man, Jamesy." He had the fucking dreads and, like total fucking Rasta dude. He's like, "Jamesy, man." He had a patch, a big 4x4 patch on his cheek. I said, "William, what happened to your face?" And he's like, "Jamesy, man, it's terrorism, man. It's fucking terrorism." And he was with this Jamaican dude dealing weed in the projects, right? And there was a split within the gang. And one side of the gang decided to rob the other side of the gang. So he's a security guard, but he's also the weed spot. So they go and he just lets them right in because those are his homies. And they come in and they just take everything and they grab all the money and they tie him to a chair. They're like the gang split up and they got guns, of course, and they want to shoot him, and they want to shoot him just to shoot him. And so, but he's tied to a chair. Now he's fucking really in a fucking pickle. And they said to him, "Have you ever been shot?" And And he said, yeah, I've been shot, even though he'd never been shot. He says, yeah, I've been shot. They said, where you been shot? He said, in my hip. So he got shot right here, my upper leg and my hip. Now, they're not going to untie him from the chair and pull down his pants to check. Because if they do that, he's going to run for the fucking door, right? So they decided, okay, they weren't going to shoot him. But they went in the kitchen, opened up the gas stove. They took a metal spoon. They heated it up to red and glowing, pressed it against his face. And he had a big oval-shaped burn scar, burned like second or third fucking degree burn on his cheek. Just scar for life. There's no way that's not coming out. So that's you don't need to torture somebody for 3 hours. You can get 8 Bitcoins in fucking 13 seconds if you do it the right way. So that story that this guy what the Bitcoin is called a $5 wrench attack, right? Rather than an expensive computer hack requiring all sorts of resources, somebody just takes a wrench or a heavy object and smashes you with it and then takes your Bitcoin. There's a lot of people that are terrified of that, but they're like nerds. Which is why you should lift and you should own guns and carry them if it's legal to do so where you live. That would be a smart idea no matter what, whether you're a Bitcoin person or you're not a Bitcoin person. But you need to start doing that because things not getting better, not getting calmer. Gilbert Salgado. Industrial society is doomed. Ted Kaczynski was right. Dude, you just like literally just every minute you throw up something different. Like how to be so empty, like to be such an empty-minded person, to have such nothing beliefs, that's got to be bad. That can't be good. That cannot be good. So from Africans sending Bitcoin on 90s cell phones and people mining Bitcoin using waste coal, the grave robbers union wasn't that much of a rant. It's a little bit of a rant, but it's about it. It was earlier, right before you got here. You always show up late. You know what I mean? You try to be Trad Dad, trying to be fashionably late and show how cool he is. Doesn't understand that you have to show up at the beginning because I wander around with the topics. I wander around with the topics and the screen shares. So we're going from Africa. We're burning some coal. But what about the future? What about the future? Gilbert Salgado, worried about industrial society? I am not. I am not worried, sir. Sirs and madams. There could be some madams. I know there are a couple of female subscribers to this show. Hello, ladies. Sirs and madams, this is the future. Just in from Bitcoin Magazine, Samsung. You might have heard of them. It's a big company in South Korea. They make a lot of tech shit, TVs, phones, computers. You might have heard of Samsung. Samsung files to launch a Bitcoin and crypto exchange in South Korea 2023. Samsung, pretty big deal. Kind of a big deal. So, Trad Dad, missing the grave robbers union rant. I'm beating up on Gilbert Salgado. Is that not enough? Is that insufficient red meat for you? What good is all your Bitcoins if society is crumbling all around you? The good news is it can be rebuilt. This is what Goy understand that Jews don't understand, because Jews never built anything. This is, the more I think about what a genius thing this was. That time I was arguing with Duvin and I said, the most famous piece of architecture in Israel is the Wailing Wall. The Wailing Wall is the last wall left of a Roman prison. The Romans, the only place that I know Rome ever built a prison was in Israel. They tried to imprison the Jews. That's the most famous piece of architecture. That or the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Neither one of those things was built by Jews. Jews claim they built the pyramids. It's bullshit. You never built the fucking pyramids. You never built the fucking thing. Like literally never built a thing. So in your mind, everything's always crumbling and collapsing because you cannot imagine how to build or how to build for eternity. Okay? Bitcoin is money for eternity or far enough into the future so that we'll get past our current set of problems. So if you can send Bitcoin using 1990s cell phones, you don't even need an internet, right? Or you can wait for Samsung to make some super slick, ultra high tech Samsungian thing, right? To send Bitcoin back and forth. Bitcoin solves problems you don't know exist. I've said this multiple times. For groups you have that you would not be, it's not obvious to look at them. We will build a financial structure that modern capitalism is based on. Yeah, that's why there's 99-year-old people working in fucking Chick-fil-A, right? That's a debt slave literally for a century. Debt slavery for your entire fucking life. And guess what? We don't like it. Okay. And there's a bunch of people, mostly Bitcoiners, who have come up with a solution to destroy that system. And part of what's going to happen is you're going to fucking shoot yourself in the foot. You're going to kill yourselves. You're going to print and print and print and print. Because when the market tanks and nobody buys anything and stocks start to fall, the Fed's going to have to print to pump the stocks back up. The Fed's going to pivot. We're no longer going to be tightening anymore. We're going to go back to quantitative easing. Okay. And then all assets will get pumped up. In the meantime, between now and Christmas, you may get a very, very, very good deal on Bitcoin. You'll get deals on everything because all those retailers that I showed you, and the obvious ones, there's going to be the low end ones, Target and Kohl's, but all these stores have bought tons of fucking inventory that they can't get rid of. That's not going anywhere. It's not buying anything, and they have no cash. So they're going to need cash. They're going to cut everything on fucking sale to push everything out the fucking door. Just in time logistics for supplies doesn't work real well when there's a sudden pullback because inflation spiked, because the dollar's weak and gasoline went to $5 and people can't afford to do anything other than to go to work, go to the supermarket and stay home. That's all they can afford to do. So everything else, the consumer economy that Gilbert Salgado, all this cheap junk from China that Gilbert and his friends have created, they created that whole market. It's falling apart. You know what I mean? The same way, but just this is Jews don't understand. You don't understand how mentally ill you are, right? The Jews come up with you have to buy a diamond scam, right? You got to buy a diamond for the girl you love to show that you love her, blah, 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 right? So it's a rock dug out of the ground by an African for pennies a day, sent to Asia, cut and polished by an Asian that they pay pennies an hour to, and then put in a little fucking purse, flown to fucking New York or London or some other big fucking wealthy city in the West, and sold for thousands of dollars per side, per carat, right? So this is a great scam. The Oppenheimers had this scam, whatever. The Oppenheimers that's not their real name. But so this works great until you break up the family. Women's liberation and divorce means you don't buy any fucking wedding rings anymore because nobody gets married anymore. You know what I mean? And Israel's great fucking, diamond industry, they crushed it themselves. They destroyed it themselves. Because you are a destroyer, right? You can only think of how can I extract the maximum amount of fucking value from this thing that I did not create and will do nothing to maintain. And everything, creative destruction, it's the best. No, it's not. It's destruction. It creates nothing new. It creates nothing but poverty, misery, addiction, etc., etc. All of which, when you follow it to the Sackler family, the Sackler family is not Greek. You know what I mean? Greeks and Jews in America are both 2% of the population, but we're not behind. Right? Turns an ocean of trad that turned a nation of pioneers into a Chinese flea market. Thanks, Judeo-Christian liberal democracy. Yes. Here's the thing about your pointless fucking finger pointing. It doesn't matter. None of it fucking matters. You can blame anyone you want to fucking blame for anything, and it solves no problem. What I was saying last week, and I started thinking about why engineering is so dramatically superior to your shit tier ideology. Again, a fence with a locking gate is superior than praying that your neighbors are virtuous, right? Because there's no guarantee that your neighbor is going to be virtuous. They could come and steal from you. But if there's a fence and a gate, it makes it a lot harder for them to steal from you. That's an engineering solution to a societal problem. And I don't know when they first invented the fence with a gate. I don't know. Egypt, fucking Babylon, who the fuck knows? Chaldea? I don't know how long ago they fucking invented this concept of wall with an area you can get through, but only if you know the secret. Whenever they fucking invented that engineering, okay, still works today. That's why engineering solutions are the only real solutions. Everything else is you just dry humping whatever's fucking whatever the latest fucking fad is. The fad is monarchy, you're a monarchist. The fad is fucking bureaucracy, you're a whatever, a techno-statist. The fad is democracy, you're a democracy. It's all fucking, you're just a fucking trend humping lemming. You know what I mean? And now it's going bad and you want to point, oh, I hate that thing. Good for you. You hate that. Now that you figured out what you hate, what can you do to fix it? What can you do to fix it or make it? Or what is your thing that's better than it? You know what I mean? What is your thing? What is the thing that's better than liberal democracy? Try that. Write the name of this system that Rice and Beans Hitler is going to fucking bring to you. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Maybe you don't think it's going to be Rice and Beans Hitler, right? I don't. You know, the Senior Adolfo Hitlerio. You know, with the fucking sombrero. He's going to have a sombrero in one hand and a fucking jalapeno in the other, and he's going to fucking, wow, what's he going to do? You know what I mean? Right? You know what I mean? Like, what's he going to do? You know, he's going to come with his fucking, rolling with his homie, yo, SA, with the prison fucking shirts and shit. Not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. When whatever this thing is, and I don't care what it is, and I'll talk about Dugan in a minute because it making me think about Dugan. There was a Dugan quote of how the West is not Greco-Roman. It's not the Greco-Roman past. It's not the Renaissance, Middle Ages. It's not the Enlightenment anymore. The West is the Rothschilds and Soros and this and that and the other. And I'm like, holy shit! No wonder they killed this kid. He basically named them, and his opposite correct observation. The West is not those things that it was in previous millennia. It's not that anymore, right? We're living in a world controlled by fiat currencies issued by central banks that are owned in whole by an alien elite which hates us and wants us dead. Okay, this is a really, you know, and it's one of those things where it's like the cartoon where you have all the people are blindfolded, but they're touching an elephant and they're trying to describe what the elephant is. And the one that's touching the elephant's trunk says, oh, it's like a snake. And the other one that's touching his leg says, no, it's like a tree. And then the other one that's touching its fucking ribs is like, no, it's like a whale. You know what I mean? And the one that's touching its ears is like, no, it's like a big curtain, right? Because they're all blindfolded. They can't see the whole elephant. They're just seeing a little part of it. The whole elephant is central banking. That's the whole elephant. Okay, that's the elephant in the room. The reason why there's the feds can do what they do. That dopey kid I showed in the black socks, or the online ones, Norvin, Bateman, fucking OV, and God knows how many more there are. The reason why they can do what they can do is because there's money involved. You know what I mean? Nobody does this shit for free. Nobody gets up at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning and goes and plays fucking spook for free. You know what I mean? And the longer they're into this, they volunteer for overtime on weekends and shit because it pumps up their fucking pensions, not because they're super dedicated to the fucking whatever anti-terrorism fucking 101 wherever they try and figure out how to turn literally somebody's grandmother into a fucking terrorist. You know what I mean? While tearing down your statues and making you worship the golden Negro crackhead. You know what I mean? We don't want you dead, James. We want you to be satisfied. I'm not dying anytime soon. I am not suicidal. I'm not going to shoot myself in the back of the head twice and then throw myself underneath the fucking train. I'm in a good mood. I have positive plans for the future. I have money. I have a beautiful 1-bedroom apartment with air conditioning in beautiful New Jersey, USA. And I have Bitcoin. I have more hope for the future than anyone else. Now, here's the thing. People listening to me are like, well, maybe, I don't know, he seems convinced, but I want a guarantee. I understand you want guarantees. I get that. And the volatile nature of the price of Bitcoin spooks you. I get that. But when whatever this thing is collapses, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's liberal democracy. I don't even fucking give a shit what you call it. Yes, you're 100% right. Your diagnosis is 100% right, and it's all going to fall over and die. Fine. What comes afterwards? What comes afterwards? Gilbert Salgado says we're going to unify. We're going to unify under a Ted Kaczynski communistic, socialistic, whatever. I don't know what the fuck you think. Back to nature. Return to tradition. I don't know what the fuck. Like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's just saying random shit. What comes next? And is that thing going to be ready? Do you understand? Is the system going to be ready? Usually, if you look at history, when power shifted a lot, when the old fell away, something was right there to fill that power vacuum immediately. And the question is, do you think when everyone loses faith in every government official, not Trump, not Biden, not DeSantis, not who comes afterwards, AOC, somebody worse than that, the Republicans get blown out because they're too wimpy, the fucking Democrats get blown out because they're too wimpy, they confiscate everything, they scrape the fucking wealth from everywhere, they fucking hold people upside down and shake them till the fucking change comes out of their pockets, and everyone hates every form of government and the paper receipts that they issue. What's going to replace it? Somebody thinks Rice and Beans Hitler's going to come along, and they're going to go, hi, my name is Rice. My name is Adolfo Hitlerio. I'm the new fucking El Jefe Grande, Una Tel Mundo of the world. And I'm going to give you those paper receipts you've been using, the euros, the yens, the dollars, the rubles. I'm going to wipe all them out, and I'm going to issue Hitler bucks. And then you go to work, and then you can buy stuff in the supermarket and clothes and pay your doctor and fucking charge your fucking electric Tesla using Hitler bucks, right? Do you think people are going to trust those paper receipts after every other paper receipt has become worthless from money printing? The trillions and trillions and trillions. Donald Trump was the one who spent $6.2 trillion first. Fucking chucklehead in what's his name? Biden has only added like $2 trillion to fucking Trump added $6.5 trillion fucking dollars. Okay. More trillions, right? But you can't print hamburger. You can't print gasoline. You can't print houses. You can't do that. You can't print the skill set when, like these fucking complex machines. I watched roads being, summertime, they do the potholes and they resurface the roads everywhere. It's fucking gigantic fucking machines. You know what I mean? Big complex machines, fucking lighting systems, all kinds of shit. They scrape up the asphalt. They turn it into like dust, like rocks. And then they put it in dump trucks. And there's a line of 20, 50 dump trucks. And everything moves at the exact same speed until the dump truck is filled. And then it pulls out. Another one takes its place. And they cover huge swaths of fucking roadway fast. That's an incredibly expensive machine. I don't know how long it takes to learn how to work it, much less how to fix the fucking thing when it breaks, because I'm pretty sure those things break. You know what I mean? You can't just pump them out, but you can go like this and we can make another $1 trillion, or send another 800 million to fucking Ukraine. We're sending that money to Ukraine, to Zelensky and his cokehead buddies in fucking yarmulkes, right? But they're not paying for it. We're paying for it. You get a bunch of shitty fucking Twitter videos of some guys firing AKs into a fucking tree line. You don't even get the fucking, you maybe seen like 30 dead bodies. You know what I mean? In the entire war. As a war, it's not a very spectacular production. Gilbert Salgado, can you buy lottery tickets with Bitcoin? Can you buy lottery tickets with gold coins? Can you buy lottery tickets with stock certificates? Can you buy lottery tickets with treasury bonds? Can you buy lottery tickets with real estate? Right? What you're saying right now is, the U.S. dollar is still dominant in the United States. Yeah, it is. But there's stuff you can buy with Bitcoin. You know what I mean? That you get. I have a fucking 10 or 12 fucking silver quarters that I got years ago. So each one of those quarters is worth like $5, right? Because it's pure silver, or $4 or $5 or something each. But if I take it to this, if I go to the supermarket with 3 of those quarters, right? Let's say it's $15. I say, well, I grab a fucking steak off the fucking shelf. That's a $15 steak, fucking whatever, New York strip, $15 a pound. And I when I go to the fucking checkout and I give them 3 quarters, and they go, no, you owe us, $14.25, sir. And I go, no. Those are pure silver quarters. They're worth $15. They're like, nope, those are quarters. You've given us 75 cents. That steak is $15. You better come up with another $14.25, or we're going to have you arrested for shoplifting. There's tons of stuff that right now isn't used for day-to-day transactions, but there are transactions that happen in Bitcoin. There are a lot of them. Samsung is not fucking moving. It's not going to open a Bitcoin exchange because there's no future in it. You know what I mean? Samsung Electronics, the largest electronics manufacturer in the world. Okay, if you're saying those fucking dumb slant-eyed chopstick jockeys have no idea what the fuck they're doing, okay, that's you sit there and deny right up until the point where fucking Bitcoin takes over, and Bitcoin will be ready to take over when the fiat systems die, and the fiat systems are gonna die, not because of anything that Bitcoin does, but because the people that control the fiat systems are evil and fucking insane and destroyers like you. You can only think of how it's going to collapse. You can only think of how it's going to fall down, or it isn't going to fucking last. That's something wrong in the architecture, literally the physical architecture of your brain. But you figured out money. You know what I mean? Like people who figured out, again, like even like Bitcoin people. Like I said, there's pothead Bitcoins. There's Islamic Bitcoin people. There's Christian Bitcoin people. There's all kinds of different ones. Libertarian fucking ones. They figured out one thing, like the pothead Bitcoin people annoy the fuck out of me because they figured out one thing and they got that right. But then they spend their entire fucking day poisoning their fucking brain with THC. You know what I mean? In order to really build something that's going to last, it has to be based on more than one fucking thing. It has to be based on more than one fucking thing, right? This one and done kind of mindset is always fails. Even if you watch, you guys probably don't watch it because you're a bunch of fucking soy boys, but you watch the UFC or boxing or something. When you see these two fighters at the fucking with the weigh-in, and they're there like this, they're doing the weigh-in, and one guy goes, "I'm gonna knock you out in the first fucking round." Without variance, the guy who says, "I'm gonna knock you out in the first round," fucking loses every time. And usually the first round knockout guy smacks the other guy or does some fucking scumbag thing in front of all the cameras, and then they have to separate them because he's a punk. He's a punk. He thinks it's going to be one and done. I'm going to go in, bang, one big shot, and you're going to go out. Well, that's not how it works in a real contest. When somebody knows it's coming and they're training for it, it's not going to be a one and done thing. So, again, the idea that everything hangs on this one single thing, you literally understand how nothing works. Gilbert Salgado, hunger, starvation, and homelessness still rules the day because you can't eat Bitcoin. You can't eat dollar bills either. I don't know if you know this, but you cannot eat U.S. currency. You can't eat 20s. You can't eat 50s. You can't eat $100 bills. I mean, you could, but there's not a whole lot of nutrition in the paper pulp and fucking whatever amount of rag there is. You know what I mean? You're not making the points you think you are. You grossly overestimate your ability to argue and make logical points. The green paper receipts are a medium of exchange and also a unit of account, but they're a medium of exchange. They are inferior to Bitcoin because Bitcoin cannot be inflated away. That is the key, arguably the greatest strength of Bitcoin is that no one controls it and it cannot be inflated away. Tried that. I work to secure community, the first place that matters. Everything else is entertainment. Yeah, and your community part of the, if you look at all the revolution stuff in the 60s, the decolonization of Africa, all that stuff, the Cold War, you got to pick a side. I'm going to be with Russia. I'm going to be with the U.S. You got to pick a side. Very few people could play both sides off the middle, right? So a few of them managed to, but it's tough to do. And even resource-rich economies eventually had to pick a side, and that limits their abilities. A lot of places that are rich in resources don't have and never bother to develop the skilled labor, the fucking industries to make shit happen. Angola had oil, but they never fucking sent anybody to become petroleum engineers or learn how to make the drills or learn how to do any of that stuff, become roughnecks in Texas. They just said, you know what, let's just make a deal with Chevron and let them pump the fucking oil out of the ground. And we'll pretend to be communists in the daytime, and at night we'll party like fucking rock stars, and anybody that threatens us, we'll kill them. You know what I mean? And that's what they did. That's what all these little places did. If you had whatever the fuck the superpowers needed, you picked one side or the other side because you had no way to develop it yourself. And for people to really develop shit from nothing to civilization, it's hard as fuck, and it's complicated and requires a lot of people trusting that the system works. And when I'm talking about hyperinflation, what I'm talking about is that the system stops working. There's a lot of things that even for what I do, I have to trust that everyone is doing their part. If not, it's not going to work. Okay? This becomes unimaginably complex. And when it stops becoming worth it for different parts, when those parts fall out, everything falls apart. Okay? So, and that will happen when the money doesn't work anymore. And the people who control the money, the green pieces of paper, like I said, they're evil, they're insane, they fucking hate you. And they look at somebody working at 99 years old, fucking working in fast food, and they think, oh, how do we get the entire planet to do that for us? These are the people we're going to defeat with better money, with engineered money. And we have the best fucking shot because everybody wants money, whether you're a trad cat, a liberal Democrat, a monarchist, an authoritarian, a fucking whatever, a Ted Kaczynski. I want to live in the woods and send people bombs in the U.S. mail. That's illegal, by the way. Don't do that. Whatever the fuck you think you are ideologically, and you aren't. Okay? As soon as my friends, I have two friends, starvation and homelessness, all right? They get my ass out of bed every fucking day and get me driving up and down the fucking East Coast, delivering fucking airplane parts to the one percenters. Okay? That's what drives my behavior. But not today, because today's my day off. I didn't do shit. I deliberately do fucking nothing on my day off. The bare minimum I could possibly fucking do. Okay? Because this one day is the day I fucking don't think about starvation and fucking homelessness. You know what I mean? I relax. I do a chill stream. I drink some fucking wine. I roast some fucking pork. I made a fucking chickpea salad with fucking roasted red peppers and parsley and stuff. It was actually pretty good. Just saw the fucking thing on YouTube. And that's my day where I'm doing nothing. You know what I mean? I don't have to I drop off my laundry. I don't want to do nothing. Right? But tomorrow, back to the grind. You know what I mean? Pick up the phone, check in. They say, go here, pick this up, drive to so-and-so, and I do it. Not because I like fucking spending 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day inside of a fucking 2006 Toyota Matrix. I don't particularly enjoy that. But I do like having air conditioning and food and fucking, some money in my pocket while this money works. You know what I mean? And while I have to be paid in this money, I turn it into Bitcoin as fast as I can. Because the people that control this money hate me and want me dead. And I'm not playing anymore. You know what I mean? To the degree that I can escape, I'm escaping. You sit there and go, no, we can argue, we can rationalize with these people. We can persuade them not to be scumbags. These are the motherfuckers that ran the gulags. You know what I mean? These are the people that starved the kulaks to death. Right? These are the people who blew up the fucking Hindenburg and the Titanic and fucking 9/11 and that fucking plane from fucking Kuala Lumpur I talked about a couple of weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? You're not gonna be reasonable with them. They're not gonna fall to their knees and come to Jesus or Allah or whatever and go, wow, we're we're behaving in a terrible way. We should show kindness and generosity and respect towards others. They're not going to do that. They're never going to do that voluntarily. Okay, that's going to have to be forced on them, or rather, you're going to have to be forced aside by a system that they can't corrupt. That's what we're driving towards, and it's 100% legal. It's not. It's legal everywhere on the planet Earth, right? You don't have to hold your wealth in rupees, or rubles, or yen, or yuan, or euros, or dollars, or fucking pesos, or whatever. You don't have to do that. You can trade to a different system. Now you think, well, it's not guaranteed, and it's unsteady and it's volatile, and I'm gonna wait. Okay, wait. It's fine. Wait. I'm not telling you got to do anything right now. You can wait as long as you want. However, the longer you wait, the less favorable it's going to be for you. Come and check out. It makes more sense to start a vegetable garden. Go ahead, sell vegetables. You could be the first Jewish farmer in the history of Judaism. I live in a community of working whites. The state Fed NGO think tank ops run by outsiders are easily spotted and targeted. Yeah, of course. I mean, they're fucking Eloy. Now you're blaming the Titanic and the Hindenburg on us too. Well, yes, the Titanic. All the people who opposed the Federal Reserve Bank were on the Titanic. J.P. Morgan was supposed to get on the Titanic, but he did not get on the Titanic. At the last minute, he changed his mind and did not sail on that ship. And if you watch I saw this and I was like, unfucking real how they did this shit. When they set the cameras, they finally went down there with the cameras, like to find the Titanic, because people were fascinated with that for years and years and years and years. And then in the 70s, they came up with that disaster movie, The Poseidon Adventure, which was a Titanic-ish storyline. There's the hull of the fucking Titanic has some fucking damage that's not from the iceberg, and they pass over the hull with the iceberg, which is way down low, and it's a hull that's from the inside out. But never mind that. There's some sort of damage further down the hull. They're saying, well, that's when they scraped. What did they say? They said there was a fire. This is what they said. There's a fire in the shipyard. So the ship's here and it's up on supports, right? And there was a fire that burned the fucking hull of the ship for 3 weeks. There was a fire in the shipyard, 3 weeks. Did nobody notice it? What fucking burned for 3 weeks in a shipyard? How much fuel has to be there to burn 24/7 for 3 weeks in a fucking shipyard to weaken the hull of the fucking Titanic? But when the fucking thing sank, nobody ever thought, oh, we'll come up with underwater cameras 80 years from now and people want to see what's down there. They're not going to do that. And as for the Hindenburg, plenty of people. First off, there were 22 photographers and or movie cameras down in Lakehurst, Virginia, to watch the docking of this ship, which was absolutely routine. And those things used to fly back and forth across the Atlantic all the fucking time. All right. None of them caught the beginning of it. They all caught it once it was already going. None of them were normally there. Who put 22 fucking reporters and fucking movie cameras and fucking still photographers to watch a routine fucking landing of a fucking airship? It had never been done before. Never been done before. Read anything about the fucking Hindenburg? The survivors of the Hindenburg, one of which was the captain, said absolutely there was an incendiary device detonated on his fucking ship. Okay, and there were known communists who were crew members on that fucking ship. So would they fucking bomb the Hindenburg? Of course they would. America was the only source of fucking helium to get those things fucking flying. Germany was trying to get fucking helium to build a bigger fleet of those fucking things. But America wouldn't sell helium to Germany since Judea declared war on Germany in 1933. And America, which apparently does what Judea wants, wouldn't sell helium to the Germans so they could build their fucking airships. The official explanation is that the airship got struck by lightning, and that's what set off the helium. Really, these things have traveled hundreds of times across the fucking Atlantic. And you think they never got struck by lightning before? Do you think they weren't fucking designed to be hit by fucking lightning? You're so full of shit, man. You have no idea what you're talking about. And listen, everybody's seen the Hindenburg with the big fucking swastika on the fucking tail. You know what I mean? So to see that flying over your head overhead, the boys at fucking Wall Street and the B'nai B'rith, they really ain't fucking happy about that. Eddie Hopkins, welcome to the show, Mr. Hopkins. Another thing, there was Father Coughlin. It was famous. It was Irish Catholic priest back in the 20s, in the early days of radio, the early days of wireless internet. It wasn't internet, but it was what they had, 100 years ago. Father Coughlin was a super hardcore Roman Catholic, and he knew who nailed fucking Jesus to that cross. He knew who was really responsible, and he had a radio show and a newsletter that he used to mail out to the faithful in the Roman Catholic Church and tell them all about the perfidy of the Jews. And the U.S. Post Office stopped delivering mail to this guy. And in fact, the Federal Communications, the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, was created for the specific purpose of silencing this one guy. So this is, you think all this stuff, the censorship stuff, people getting wiped off of Twitter, whatever, Facebook groups with 500,000 people getting deleted, overnight. You think this is new? This isn't new. This has all been done before. It's all been done before. The one screenshot I forgot to get was the World Economic Foundation they want to hire 400,000 fact checkers or something like that. It's like to combat online conspiracy theories. Like, you don't have enough, bro. You have literally every television fucking and radio network, all the satellites, everything all at once, all the censors at Twitter, at Facebook, at fucking all these other platforms, and still they can't fucking stop us. They still can't stop us. They think, we just need to hire more fucking censors. Go ahead. You know what I mean? I report people on Twitter all the fucking time, not because I give a shit, but because I want those censors exhausted. I want their eyeballs popping out of their fucking head. I report comments like fucking crazy, not because I think it's going to make much of a change, but I want the censors exhausted. I want them to have to hire more and more and more and more of these people and spend more and more and more money to try to fucking to suppress what we have to say. Eddie Hopkins in the chat. What about the founders? How paused was it from the start? Pretty paused. I had a screenshot last week. Ben Franklin said, the reason for the revolution is the crown would not allow the colonies to run an honest monetary system free from the money manipulators. You know what I mean? It's well known that George Washington borrowed money from some Jewish guy to start the fucking war. It was profoundly paused. We were told when I was a kid that Thomas Jefferson was like a fucking great guy, but it turns out Thomas Jefferson was commissioned as a colonel in the Continental Army like in 1770, like way before this whole fucking thing. So he's collecting a government check. You know what I mean? He's getting an army fucking paycheck. And when the British came to arrest the legislature of Virginia, he fucking took off and hid in his fucking farm in Mount Vernon and never fired a shot. He just hid out from the fucking British for the entire war. You know what I mean? And I never knew that Thomas Jefferson was that much of a fucking coward. You know what I mean? Commissioned a colonel, not a lieutenant. It's like lieutenant. There's lieutenant, right? And then there's captain. And then there's fucking major, right? And then there's lieutenant colonel. Then there's colonel. So he's like 5 ranks fucking up. You know what I mean? If he was commissioned a lieutenant, like a butter bar lieutenant, like, yeah, he's the minimum officer ranking. You go, well, whatever. They gave him some crumbs. But they made the motherfucker a colonel, and he never fired a shot at anger. So all this Jeffersonian freedom shit you hear is a rich dude hiding out from the fucking British, waiting until the shooting is done, and then coming back and becoming fucking president. So how paused was it? Pretty fucking paused. Pretty fucking paused. And those motherfuckers, the dudes who fucking had no fucking boots in fucking Valley Forge, in the fucking winter, when all was said and done, and the war was over, they didn't get paid for 2 years. And fucking Congress, very first Congress, didn't want to fucking pay the army, and the army said, "Fuck it, we're going to go kill Congress." And to be honest, they had every right to. You know what I mean? But George Washington said, "No, no, 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 hang on, boys." He did this big speech in fucking at the fucking tavern in downtown Manhattan. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I've been there. I used to go there with a buddy of mine years ago. George Washington said, no, I'll get you guys paid. So he went to Congress and they said, you got to pay these guys that are going to come fucking shoot all of you. You know what I mean? And like, I can't stop them. Other than the fact that they loved their fucking general. They fought with this guy for years and, you know, they respected him. He said, I'll get you paid. And he did get Congress to actually give up the fucking money. But that's how deeply paused America was from the fucking jump. So Ben Franklin says the money manipulators would not allow the colonies to run their own fair monetary system. They were constantly being fucking, fucked with. And the crown would not hear the complaints of the top guys in the colony. So the colonists said, fuck it, let's shoot it out. And some guys had balls like fucking Ben Franklin, and other guys were like Thomas Jefferson. You know what I mean? People think that the scandal of Thomas Jefferson was that he was having sex with fucking that black chick. He wasn't even having sex with that black chick. His brother was. That was his brother. It wasn't even him. Oh, I can't remember what her name was. Not a good-looking woman. From the images I've seen, not a good. Sally Hemings? No, not Sally Hemings. I think Sally Hemings. That's not the scandal of Thomas Jefferson. That's the whole wrong fucking scandal of Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson commissioned an army officer years before the fucking war began, collected his fucking pay every fucking year, and probably collected a fucking pension after the fucking war, and got into the White House and was 100% a fucking coward. So, the more you know. The more you know. Yeah, real history is fascinating, but you have to drop the ideological shit. And when they start fucking waving the flag in front of your face, and listen, when I was young, this shit used to work on me. 100% this shit used to work on me. I was so completely hypnotized by this shit. It was fucking embarrassing. I think back on the things I used to fucking say and think, I'm like, oh, fucking, man, I wish I could fucking take that one back. But, when you burn through all the bullshit, okay, what really happened? What I want to know is what really happened. And they're never going to tell you. They're never going to tell you. And the first thing they say is probably a lie. And the second and third thing they say is probably a fucking lie. You have to learn to just hang back. You have to learn to hang back and wait for the other shoe to drop. You have people, here's a guy, almost our guy, I would say. Follow this guy on Facebook. He's in Congress. I would say almost our guy. I don't know if he's a big one guy. He was a big Second Amendment guy. Big 2A brother. But bringing the smoke, as they say in the hood. He's bringing the smoke. I don't know if the fuck I'm saying that right. I don't have no idea if I'm fucking making sense at this point. Thomas Massey, he's a congressman from Tennessee, right? The volunteer state. Talking about the 87,000 new IRS agents doing their scenario training for arrests. And he tweets this the other day. Notice the scenario. The IRS recruiting program is, quote, taking down a landscape business owner who failed to properly report how he paid for his vehicles. So you bought a used Ford F-150, you bought some fucking lawnmowers, guess what? The fucking SWAT team's going to come kick in your door. He says, not taking down a billionaire who uses the corporate jet for private trips. And that is 100%. 100% true. And the photo is the Dixie State University, training for these IRS people in St. George's, Utah. So is Thomas Massey our guy? Well, he's about as close as you're going to get and actually be in public office. I know Trump hated him. You could argue that he's 100% part of the system, and he is, but he says the right things. That at the end of the day, that doesn't mean much, but he says the right things. And in terms of what do you want the future to look like? Do you want somebody who's on the side of the private jet dudes, or do you want somebody that's on the side of the fucking landscapers? There's no perfect answer. There's no quick, clean, perfect answer, because real life is not a fucking school book. You know what I mean? Real life is everybody thinks, oh, I've got the answer. Here, look, I have the answer. Having the answer is schoolboy shit. Okay? You have to ask the right questions. How can we do this? How do we fix this? How do we make this better? How can we stop that bad thing? Those questions mean you have to get off your ass and go do shit, learn shit, make stuff fucking happen. Okay? Coming up with here's the schoolboy fucking answer. Schoolboys accomplish nothing. Okay? The answer in the book is not the answer in fucking real life. I said it before, I'll say it again. Real life, first you take the test, then you learn the fucking lesson. So the questions are, the reason why I talk about Bitcoin is, how can I stop the government from robbing my wealth and my life? How can I stop that? You can't stop the money printer. The Congress isn't going to stop it. You have no control over the Federal Reserve. It's a private fucking bank. It's a private corporation that is, that literally runs the fucking world. Chris Alton, you follow 3D printed gun developments. Chris Alton in the chat. Welcome to the show, by the way, Mr. Alton. They seem adjacent to your second 2A Bitcoin interest. Yeah, I love that shit. I love that 3D printed stuff. Pardon me. That 3D printed stuff, I would do it in a second if I could. Not that it's beyond me technologically, but I just don't have the time. I would 100% fucking do that. All those accounts like Navi of Boom, Handia, GhostGuns.com, all of those fucking guys, 100%. If you don't think that self-defense is your right as a human being, then why are you taking your next breath, right? If you think it's somebody else's job to defend your life, right? How much of a child are you? That's 100% a child's position. You can wrap your fucking childish fucking faith in others protecting you in all sorts of complex intellectual bullshit. You can wrap it up with monarchism or blah 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 blah. But until your balls drop and you say, you know what, I'm gonna whatever happens, I'm gonna protect myself. You know what I mean? You start with protecting yourself and then it extends to your family, obviously. But that self-defense is a human right. Whether you think that right comes from God or you think that right comes from the fact that, you know what, you ain't as tough as you fucking look. Whatever it is, okay, self-defense is a human right. And so the idea that, again, some bureaucrats in the same people, the same ATF, right, who just burned, they just had the anniversary of Ruby Ridge that shot fucking the guy from Ruby Ridge, I can't remember, Randy Weaver. Shot Randy Weaver, killed his wife, shot his son in the fucking back from 800 yards out because he was going to sell two shotguns that were 1/16 of an inch shorter than the fucking federal regulations. And of course, the whole thing was a setup. By the way, there's a picture I meant to fucking show it. I'll show it next week. Randy Weaver sitting on the couch with his family. He has a T-shirt on. It's a black T-shirt. And somebody fucking enhanced the writing on the T-shirt, and it said, "Just say no," which in the 1980s was "Just say no to drugs." That was a real popular thing from Nancy Reagan. But Randy Weaver had a T-shirt that said, "Just say no to Zog." That's what he had on his T-shirt. And look what happened to him. Look what they did to him. And Waco, 20, 25, 26 children burned alive, and we just pretend it didn't happen on American soil in Texas. Those are the people you trust with your money. Those are the people you trust to guarantee that the value of the green paper receipts you rely on to live. Those are the people you trust. I think that's unwise. I don't know how. Maybe my IQ isn't high enough. Maybe I don't have your level of sophistication. But I'm thinking to myself, you fucking burned up 26 fucking children for some bullshit, and everybody just pretends like it didn't fucking happen in America. You did that. to make me safer from what? From some failed fucking rock star who was banging a bunch of fucking whatever Texas fucking hoochie mamas? Who gives a shit, right? You didn't protect me from anything. I was never, trust me, I was never in fucking danger from David Koresh and his fucking his elite squad of Texas hoochie mamas or whatever the fuck he had. But they sent tanks against American citizens. People don't bat an eye. So when I talk about the Federal Reserve Bank and the elites and the Rothschilds, they really think like they have fucking magic powers because they do this shit right in front of your face, and you talk about, why? Here's my complex reason. Here's my 72 reasons why liberal democracy is inferior to this system I don't even have a fucking name for. But just shut up, you fucking retard. Just fucking shut up. You know what I mean? That's why nobody listens to you. The reason why nobody listens to you is because you say stupid shit. You know what I mean? You say stupid shit on a fucking regular basis, and you expect to be treated like fucking like you're reciting Shakespearean sonnets for the first fucking time. That's not how it goes, bro. This guy, of course, 100% our guy. I don't think there's any guy that's more our guy than this guy. One of my favorites, kicked off of Twitter a very long time ago. There is a fan account on Gab. Go on Gab. There's an Andrew Joyce fan account. But this one's pretty savage. Pretty savage as tweets go. Having sympathy for Jews and their history is like running a store where the customer's credit card has been declined 109 times. But you assume there's something wrong with the card machine and let him walk out with the goods for free. Well, I agree with Mr. Joyce here. I think that if your credit card has been declined 109 times, that the problem is you. It's not the credit card machine, okay? And you're not gonna walk out with what is valuable for free. One pretty sick burn from our friend, from our man, I do believe he's in England. He's in Northern England. Andrew Joyce. Fucking phenomenal dude. What else we got? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Here's one in order to beat up on the ideologues. And I don't even give a shit what your ideology is, because all ideology is bullshit. Nobody gets out of bed in the morning to make sure that fucking whatever, that the fucking sun rises over the emperor of Japan. You get out of bed because there's a fucking paycheck in it. You know what I mean? There's a paycheck in it for you. You know, and ideology is so fucking fake and empty, because again, when my friends starvation and homelessness show up at your fucking door, you immediately, everything you ever think and believe fucking changes. Here we go. Eddie Hopkins, in this day and age, you are more likely to be canceled. Chris Alton, I could see you doing that in the future. I think you would enjoy it. Yes, I would enjoy it quite a bit. Here's a great picture. Here's a great fucking picture. Joseph Stalin and his granddaughter. Upon his father's death, his daughter Svetlana moved to the USA and married an American citizen. So the dictator's granddaughter, Shreese Evan, now lives in America. Last time I checked, it was Portland, Oregon. So there's Stalin. That guy, academic agent, thinks the world of Stalin. Oh, Stalin was a real ideologue, and he was just a fucking shitty bank robber, right? Who got into politics because he realized he could rob the whole country, not just one bank. So he was hardcore, and he kept out the pause, and he was anti-West. All the bullshit you think that Stalin believed with all his heart and soul, right, ended. One, he couldn't even transmit it to his daughter, and that's his granddaughter right there with some crappy airsoft guns and fucking tatted up whatever the fuck that thing is, right? That's Stalin's granddaughter. Okay, so that's how far your ideology extends. All the ideas that you think Stalin stood for. And trust me, he didn't stand for any of them. But I'm gonna for the sake of argument, I'm gonna agree with academic agent and Roland Rat or whoever's the same guy that Stalin really believed in all the shit you think he believed in. You see how far his fucking ideology extended, right? It didn't even make it to his daughter. And his granddaughter, well, his granddaughter is one of the people that he would fucking throw in the fucking gulag and starve to death. Put up against the fucking wall and shoot in the head. Your ideology is bullshit. That's why I say your ideology is bullshit. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody wants to hear it. Okay? What can I do to feed my fucking family, keep my lifestyle the way it is, or improve it, right? How can I put clothes on my kids' back, food at my fucking table, right? And live in a reasonably comfortable fucking lifestyle. And I can walk down the street without George Floyd, the fucking insane crackhead, sticking a gun in my face and taking all the fucking shit I work for. How does that happen? Like what? And you're all sitting there going, well, it's this political ideology. No, it's that political ideology. No, it's this. It's all fucking bullshit. Someone needs to pay somebody to fix this shit. You got to have ideas of what's going to fucking work and give somebody incentive, valuable incentive to fix shit. What that's going to look like is very different from what you think it looks like. Stalin's granddaughter doesn't look, there's no way he pictured that. You know what I mean? There's no way he pictured that. You can afford these fucking fantasy belief systems. They're luxury beliefs is what you have. Because right now you have the luxury of starvation and homelessness are far away from you, and you don't think they're ever coming to you. Perhaps they never will. I don't know. I'd love to be fucking wrong, but I think they're coming for a lot of people, and those lot of people are going to make changes that you can't stop. And you can cry it's democracy, and you can cry it's populism, and nobody gives a fuck about your fucking tears. Like nobody fucking cares. Okay? What can you do to fix it? You can't do anything to fix it? Shut up. Do me a favor, shut up. Do us all a favor, shut the fuck up. Any Hopkins in the chat? Are there any intellectuals you like? No, because intellectuals are in love with complex bullshit. And while the real world is made up of very complex systems, everything has to work for everybody. Like I said, for me to do what I do, there's a number of things. I have to trust a lot of people to do their jobs. You know what I mean? And if something breaks, then I can't do my job. You know, the one saving grace of the crappy fucking job I have is I literally serve the 1%. I see these people for real. I don't get to interact with them. I don't get to talk with them. I don't get to chat with them. But I walk past them on occasion and I look at them. I observe them as keenly as I can without obviously staring at them. And I interacted with the front desk people that they interact with. I watch them interact with the front desk people. I watch them interact with the pilots and et cetera, et cetera. Okay? I see this for real. I don't have to fucking read some story of fucking how some Renaissance prince conducted himself to the fucking captain of the guard or whatever the fuck you think. Like, I get to see those same people or their descendants interact today with real life people. Again, I don't get to see it every day. I don't get to see it for a long time. And I can't stop and stare. But I have more real world experience with this than any of your fucking intellectuals who are miles away and hundreds of dozens of fucking years away from what really happened. They're hearing this version of events, everybody a different version of events. And they're viewing things through an ideological lens. It's a funhouse mirror. You're not seeing, you aren't seeing what really happens. And when you see what really happens, it's pretty fucking depressing. It's a lot more fucking pathetic than you think. Liz Taylor, right? And there's Liz Taylor in the early 60s. Oh, she was a super movie star. She was so glamorous, blah, 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 blah. She blew up into a big fat cow, right? See the big Liz Taylor fucking gigantic fat slob she was. Oh, well, she's a woman. She's weak, blah, 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 blah. Marlon Brando on the waterfront. I could have been a contender. Marlon Brando was considered a fucking super great actor. Streetcar Named Desire, you know, he was slim like fucking me and whatever. He got super rich, boom, became a big fat fucking slob, right? But Bill Gates is a big fat fucking slob. Elon Musk is a big fat fucking slob. It's easier just to pursue your pleasures than to actually do hard shit. You know what I mean? And you get to a point where you go, why am I even trying to do this hard thing? I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to go, I have enough. I have enough for me and everyone I want. And I'm just going to do what I want all day, every fucking day. They don't exercise. They don't fucking work out, except for Jeff Bezos, who's on steroids. Very few of them. When you really see what human nature really is and how it actually manifests itself, when you have everything you want, more than you could ever fucking imagine, when everything you want is instantly available right here, right now, as much as you want, you become a big, fat, stupid, lazy slob like Elon Musk or fucking Bill Gates or fucking Liz Taylor or Marlon Brando or any of them. Whether you're the artist class or you're the entrepreneur class, whatever the fuck. That's what you need to see for real. Just stop and look at that. Forget about what they tell you. Oh, but Liz Taylor had emotional issues. No, she just liked to fucking eat. You know, Marlon Brando was a tortured artistic genius. No, he just liked to fucking eat. You know what I mean? Same thing with Elon Musk. He's not working on engineering problems. He's working on his fucking third helping of fucking salmon with béarnaise sauce. That's what he's fucking working on. Okay? That's for real what he's working on. But you go, oh no, he's super rich. He must be working on some complex electronic. No, he's not. He has sex with whatever fucking woman's near him that won't scream when he jumps on her. You know what I mean? There's like fucking 9 kids by 4 different women, and he's just paying child support all over the place. It's fucking what the fuck? That's who he really is. The difference between him and some dude, some black dude in the projects, is Elon Musk doesn't live in the fucking projects. Eddie Hopkins. I knew Taylor's niece as a neighbor. Really? Eddie Hopkins. Do you get paid by the hour, mile, or delivery job? By the mile. Get paid by the mile. How do they treat the pilots? Generally, they have much more respect for the pilots than front desk people. You can see they visibly talk down to the front desk people, the greeters and stuff like that, to the guys who chalk the wheels in the planes, who move their baggage and stuff. They do not interact with them at fucking all. Like they will, even when they're loading the bags in the back of like these Mercedes luxury vans. Occasionally, the women will complain about how their fucking bags are being handled, but they won't even look at the guys actually picking up the fucking. They will not. They will like randomly speak that way, like, "Don't put the bags. Don't pile my shoes on top of her, whatever." And like these guys, they know it refers to them because they're wearing safety yellow vests and stuff like that. They know they're like, "Oh shit!" And they're fucking. They muscle the bags around. They never talk to the drivers of the ground vehicles. You know what I mean? Pilots they have more respect for because obviously the pilots are the ones who got them in the first place. But still, they don't interact with them a great deal. You know, they're social underlings. Even though a lot of pilots for NetJets make, I think, about $250,000 a year. So that's some pretty good cake. But in order to fucking make that, they eat out of fucking vending machines. There's crap fucking vending machines, in the pilot's lounge. I've seen them. There's a Starbucks machine, or Starbucks or Litta, 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 coffee machines where they get free coffee and some snacks. But most of them they're eating crap fucking food. They eat crap food, but they get to fly. They get to fly airplanes for a living and make a decent buck whenever. I don't know what they do. How many days they have off, but they're like 6-figure salary guys. But to watching one of these principals, one of these high net worth individuals, HWNI, interact with, with the front desk people who were trained to be super solicitous and super nice, and they're trying to put the best looking ones there, but they have to put diversity there too. So a lot of the darker diversity didn't work out. So there's a lot of Spanish diversity. There's a lot of girls named, like Florentina working the front desk where it used to be LaQuisha, The elites don't really like LaQuisha as much as they think they do, because they, well, whatever, they don't. They would rather deal with Florentina. Um, but they still, it's still like, they sit in these lounges. There's leather couches, flat screen TVs. They never watch TV. They don't look at TV. They don't watch TV. The TV is blaring in the background. They don't fucking watch TV. The elites do not watch TV. They don't care about sports ball. They don't care about politics. They don't care. Like, all of that shit's taken care of for them. There's nothing on that fucking screen that they need to fucking know. Um, they like to walk their little dogs, and they do they take the dogs on a plane all the time, and the dog pays probably the same as a human. So it's probably like $10,000 an hour for a fucking dog this big to fly from wherever the fuck they're going to wherever they're going. Very few of them, none of them are physically fit that I can remember. None of them are fit. None of them have any muscle tone. You don't see them stretching. They just, like, even though they've been sitting in a airline seat, it's a comfortable airline seat, but they're sitting there for how many hours? You don't see them really stretching or moving or trying to, like, get their blood flowing once they get off the plane. They don't do that. What else did they not do? I saw this dude in White Plains. The plane landed. It was pissing down fucking rain, like just fucking summertime rainstorm. They've got the plane down, fucking just a solid wall of those big fucking heavy splatting fucking drops. And he wants to get off the fucking plane for whatever reason. He doesn't want to be in the plane no more. But he's safe in the fucking ground, except he wants to be a dick. So they open the fucking door, and this guy's got to walk 50 feet-ish, like 50 feet from the plane into the FBO. Fucking drenched, literally like he was hit with a fucking fire hose. And like he was an older guy with like short hair, gray hair, actually pretty dignified looking dude. But he's carrying his fucking bag, but the water had just fucking like drenched this fucking guy. You know what I mean? And it was like that he had to walk past the underlings looking like this was the worst. I looked at him and I'm going, this guy's having the worst day of his fucking life. Like, just to get soaked in a rainstorm. Now, it sucks to get soaked in a rainstorm. I understand. It's the worst for me now because I wear glasses. But this fucking guy, you would think he would rather have his fucking fingers chopped off or something like that. It's like, dude, you have to why don't you sit in a fucking plane for an extra 10 fucking minutes, have another fucking glass of champagne and relax. But no, he's like, I create my own destiny. Well, you don't fucking tell the clouds what to do, pal. So that was fun to see. That was this guy, like, and I'm looking at him like he's trying to think of like who to blame. Dude, you walked out of the plane by yourself. You made them fucking open the door and you did it yourself. So having no one to blame, I think was horrible for him. Eddie Hopkins in the chat. What about the guys who run these small charter airlines, small regional airport, or have, say, fuel concession? I don't know the fuel guys. That I don't know that much. I have met all charter pilots. A couple of years ago, I was doing there's a company that does cancer meds called Dendreon. And they used to be in New Jersey. They moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And for people with metastatic cancer throughout their body, they have a medication where you go to a Red Cross facility. They pump your blood out of your body. You get shipped to Georgia. They put the medicine in your blood, and then they return your blood back into your body, and it extends these people's lives significantly. It doesn't cure them, but it gives them a lot more time to arrange their affairs. It gives them months and months more of reasonable reasonable life. You know what I mean? They're not laying in bed on a fucking breathing machine, like, in agony. They can actually move around and do stuff. So this Dendron is a big fucking deal. It's a big fucking deal. But summertime, holiday weekends, things get fucked up. And I pick up in Jersey, and they want me to drive to fucking LaGuardia. They used to do this to us all the time on a fucking Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon in the fucking summer, trying to get across the fucking GWB to fucking LaGuardia Airport with this piece. By the time this plane takes off, you're never gonna fucking make it. You don't fucking make it. So, what you got to call up? You missed the flight, missed the lockout, blah 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 blah. And they're like, "Oh shit!" They start scrambling. So what they had me do was drive back into New Jersey to Teterboro Airport, where they hired a charter plane, and the charter would fly it out. And there were a couple of times this screwed up. One time I had to drive not to Teterboro, but I had to drive to Allentown, Pennsylvania, right? So pick up in Jersey, go to LaGuardia, miss the flight in LaGuardia, then drive from LaGuardia to Allentown and get to Allentown before midnight because Allentown closes at midnight. So I find the hangar. There's me and there's another guy, some African dude, who like literally barely made it. So I get there. I didn't know there was a second driver. So I find the hangar. It's a small hangar, private hangar, and there's an old guy. The guy was like in his 80s. I would say he was 5'6", very slim, like 140-ish. Very slim, older guy, but like no body fat. He had a young helper who was 30s, and I have the piece. I said, "How you doing, sir?" I said, "Here's your piece." And so he goes, "Okay." He says, "We gotta get the planes out and open the hangar." He owned 2 airplanes. One was a twin. It wasn't a Beechcraft. It was a Cessna. He was bragging because I chatted with him. It was a Cessna with the same engines as a Beechcraft, but a lighter airframe, so it was faster. And then he had a French plane called a Pilatus, which is a single propeller plane, but a fast fucking single, like a 300+ mile an hour single that had, how many people did you carry? I think you carried 4 people in it, but it was just him and his guy, Justin. So they open the hangar doors and they have like a little gasoline powered motor on wheels that they use. They start the motor and that pulls the planes out. Justin pulls out the twin plane, gets it out of the way. And this is in the rain at night. And then he pulls the Pilatus forward and then brings the twin back in. Doing this all by hand. No ground crew, they're their own ground crew. And I'm chatting with the guy while he's doing this. And he's showing me his planes. He goes, "These are my planes." And he's telling me how fast they fly and blah, 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 blah. And how he's going to get down to Atlanta before, whatever the fuck. By like 2 a.m. But they got to leave by midnight because Allentown Airport closes at midnight. I didn't realize there's a second piece coming from this fucking African guy who doesn't know Pennsylvania from a fucking hole in the wall. And now and the Pennsylvania guys, this African guy, I'm on the phone trying to guide him to where I am in the airport because it's not the regular, where the charter planes take off is not where the regular planes take off in the airport. So we get the fucking second piece, but I was talking with the guy, and about the company I work for. I said, it's a real torture. I said they're nonstop. They're calling me on the phone and asking for updates and blah 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 blah. I said really it's very tough for me to bite my tongue sometimes with the way the insane demands they make on me. He said it's even worse for me, and I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, I'm gonna fly to Atlanta. He says I will be drop off in Atlanta by 2:30. They'll have these 2 boxes, the blood not treated yet. They'll have it by 3:00. He says, and your company, I'm not going to say the name of the company, he says your company will call me up and say, can you fly to Chicago and pick up a piece and then fly back to LaGuardia? And he's he says that's crazy. Going to fly from Allentown to Atlanta, and they think, well, you got an extra hour and a half before the sun comes up. Why don't you just fly to Chicago and do something else, and then fly from Chicago back to the East Coast? And this is like an 80-year-old guy. I was chatting with him. I asked him when he started flying. He said 1965, and I tried to shut my mouth, and I said, "Oh, that was the year I was born, sir." And he was like, "Oh, kid," and calling me a kid. He's like, "Kid, I didn't need to hear that." It was a very, very unique conversation. But this is a dude who owns 2 airplanes, 2 high-performance airplanes. And he just loves to fly. Him and the other guy, they just want to fly. So he does transplant organs. He does anything. Just cover his fucking fuel costs And he's willing to do this stuff at the drop of a hat. Because like I said, the original Blood Piece missed the Delta flight from LaGuardia to Atlanta. Here's somebody who's 80 years old, so excited to just get out in that fucking plane and fly again. But that means he's fucking rich. He's not a guy flipping burgers. He's not working at Chick-fil-A and saying, oh, I can't show up to make the chicken sandwiches. I got to fly my airplane. That's a whole different sort of old person. This is an old person who's been wealthy his entire life, fascinated with aviation, ton of money because airplanes are crazy expensive. And he's still passionate about what he does, flying, and he'll do like any fucking excuse and take off from Allentown at night in the fucking rain, an hour before the airport closes, just to fly his fucking planes. I've met people like that. They're very unique. They're very special people. They're fucking wonderful people, but they didn't come out of a government fucking program, and they didn't fucking come off a minimum wage. You don't get guys like that. Like you don't get that equipment, those planes, everything else. You don't get that for fucking minimum wage. You know what I mean? And in order to do the type of stuff that they do, requires a much more fucking robust economy. And when everything shrinks and collapses, you won't be able to do that anymore. And you say, well, who cares if this cancer patient dies or that cancer patient dies? Easy to say now until it's your loved one. You know what I mean? Or you. Then all of a sudden, the importance is going to be fucking way fucking bigger. Way fucking bigger. But you don't see stuff like that because you're sitting there, you're listening to the fucking Monarchy is Awesome podcast or whatever dumb shit, whatever gay ass fucking dumb shit you think fucking is going to, like, once liberal democracy fails, once democracy, which has covered the earth and beat every other form of human governance, once it somehow magically fails after beating everything for 2,000 years and your retard system, which you don't even have a fucking name for, takes over, then everything will be fine. Trust me. You know, you were living in a dream world. What I try to do is focus you in the fucking real world and what a bright future could look like if you're not a debt slave to the people who've had their credit card declined 109 times. Blah, 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 blah. Eddie Hopkins. What are my thoughts on organ trafficking? Absolutely happens all the time. Jews heavily involved. There have been a number of people that noticed that in terms of organ donation, and there's a lot of darkness in there. Like Rockefeller, when Trump got elected, Rockefeller croaked. I can't remember which Rockefeller it was. He had 8 heart transplants. 8 heart transplants. There's no way that's legit. That's enormous money scouring the earth to find genetic matches to keep this cocksucker alive another day, another week, another month, or whatever. So that's 100% people being fucking trafficked. Israel, particularly, organs come into Israel all the fucking time. Nothing ever comes out from there. These organizations that move this stuff around, and the ones that I deliver to, as soon as they start to mention it, they shut up immediately, because noticing that Israel never donates out to others. It just receives from others, literally. That's a fucking taboo subject. You can't talk about that. I mean, I can talk about that because I'm a psychopath, but you can't. That's not publicly. You can't publicly discuss that. You cannot publicly discuss that. Holy Christ! 2 hours and 17 minutes. I'm going. Bet the scene is different in coldest winter. Fucking Pennsylvania's cold as fuck sometimes. Pennsylvania's crazy cold. All right, so what else? What else do I? African Bitcoin, Samsung. Yeah, I don't know. I think. Let's try and end on a positive note. Let's end on a positive note. James, could you fucking end on a positive note, please? Well, I'll try. I'll make an effort. I don't know how well. I have no idea how well this will come off. We'll try to be positive. Try to be Bitcoin. Try to think about a brighter future where you don't have to be a debt slave most is a good strategy. This is the best way to, because most people aren't bold. They're not heroic. They're not going to do extraordinary things overnight. Extraordinary things are done by very, very, very few people in history, and you are not likely one of them. You are likely not one of them. So a lot of people mention that Bitcoin can be broken up into 100 million pieces. You don't have to buy an entire Bitcoin, which is still $20,000. And I hope by the end of this year will be $10,000. If the stock market crashes and pulls Bitcoin down, that would be great, because it would allow me to get more Bitcoin for less fiat. But this is a quote by a Greek philosopher named Zeno, who lived in the classical era, Iron Age. Well-being is attained little by little, and nevertheless is no little thing of itself. So Bitcoin, buy a little bit at a time, week after week. Increase your well-being, decrease your reliance on fiat currencies, and over time, you will increase your well-being because you will be participating in a system that is not controlled by evil Kabbalists. The evil Kabbalists who currently run the world, you can separate from them. Is it guaranteed to win? No. Is it likely to win? Yeah, I think so, because you guys ain't got nothing else. There's nobody Rice and Beans Hitler, Adolfo Hitlerio, Rose Condulas is not going to fucking come and take shit over. It didn't work last time. It ain't going to work this time. So re-engineer the money, fix the money, fix the world. Anyway, 2 hours and 20 fucking minutes. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thankfully, fueled by alcohol. If it wasn't for the magic process of fermentation, I wouldn't even have a personality. Not entirely true. Anyway, I'm fucking around. Okay, Eddie Hopkins, Trad Dad, Chris Alton, even Gilbert. I change what I'm saying every 2 minutes. Salgado, Juice Fly Chai, the Lurkers, the Stream Snipers, the Feds, the hobos of the internet, Norvin, whatever, and the rest of them. Thanks a lot for showing up, guys. I'm going to call stream. I will call stream, as the super smooth Eki Lux used to say. And let's see what happens in the coming week, and I'll talk to you guys again in the future. Good night.